How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I have an altcoin that I really want to talk to you about. Now, I have already been buying this in small quantities, and the more I think about it, the more I run numbers on it, the more excited I am. So, we're going to get into that. I think it's going to be a coin or a token that does really well. And if you have any kind of crypto portfolio already, or you want to grow a crypto portfolio, I think this is almost a must to have in the portfolio. I'm going to run you through the numbers. First of all, what it is, why it's great for a lot of investors, whether you like the token or the coin itself, or whether you just have a lot in other cryptocurrencies. I think it's a must if you have if you have the goal of making as much money and interest as possible. So I'm going to go through that. I'll go through some projections and why I think so many people will want it in the very near future. Now, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, I appreciate that. Please hit subscribe too. If you guys want to get this information a little bit earlier, I told my Patreon members that I was buying it maybe a week ago or so. And then I also did a video for them before I made this one, just explaining why I liked it so much. So if you want to join the Patreon and get access to this information a little bit sooner, there is a link down there to the Patreon. This is the best time of the month to sign up to, since it is the beginning of the month and it's billed at the first of the month and when you signed up. So it's definitely the most bang for your buck right now. Now, this is VGX token. So this is the native token of Voyager. Now, hang with me here because this is a very exciting token. So this is starting at $2.41 right now. It's been much lower in the past. It's also been much higher. The reason this is so exciting is because of the loyalty program that it's connected to. So, what does this mean? Well, on their platform, Voyager is known for having some of the best interest rates out there. So on Voyager, you can get 9% on USDC, 6.25% on Bitcoin, 5.25% on Ethereum. Voyager token gets 7%. Cardano pays 5.25%. So they do have minimum monthly balances for these different cryptos, but you get pretty good interest rates. Now, some other platforms have interest rates too, but these are some of the best interest rates out there. Now, with this VGX token, if you have enough of them, you get interest rate boosts. You also get some other cool things too. So looking at this, Adventurer, if you have 500 VGX tokens, you get 7% interest on VGX. You get an interest rate boost of 0.5%. You get cash back on trades. You get refer a friend rewards that are $5 more than if you don't have these. So it's actually $25 usually, but you get $30 then. Withdrawal fee savings, 10%. Cash back on debit card. You get about 0.1% on a debit card, which isn't bad. Usually debit cards don't give you anything. Debit card fee, no fee. And then you get free access to the desktop version. Now, what does this actually mean in terms of the interest? So you get extra interest on a couple different cryptocurrencies. So you get interest that includes USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and potentially others. So VGX does not actually get the interest rate boost. It gets the flat 7%. So you could get 9.5% on USDC. You get 6.75 on Bitcoin and 5.75% on Ethereum if you have 500 of these tokens. If you have 5,000, you get an extra 1%. If you get 20,000 of these tokens, you get 1.5%. You also get the cash back on trades. You get more on the refer a friend and so on. So this has moved from what it was before. When it first came out, or at least a couple months ago, you can take a look. You only needed 25 VGX tokens, and it was significantly less expensive a couple months ago when they had these, and you could get the same 0.5% boost. So a couple months ago, right? If you look back in January, it was 15 cents. If you look back a couple months before that, back last summer, it was 5 cents. So to get some of these awesome interest rate boosts, you only needed a couple dollars worth of VGX. And then on the high end, if you had this at 5 cents and you bought 100 of them for $5, you could get an extra 1.5% boost on all your cryptos. So it's kind of crazy how much this has changed. Now, it's becoming more and more expensive to actually have these cryptos, to get these extra bonuses and extra rewards for holding the tokens. Now, let's take a look at the dynamics of this right now. So there are only 400,000 funded accounts on Voyager. Now, this has grown very quickly. They're coming out with their main numbers here soon because they always do that at the beginning of the month. Last month, the last month that they showed us, they added 130,000 new funded accounts. So I'm thinking, let's say we're around 500,000. There's still a large increase, but we're just going to say that we've gained nothing this last month and we stay at 400,000 funded accounts. The total supply of VGX is going to increase. So they say that right above their loyalty program, they have a growth pool that's going to increase by 40 million tokens in year 1, 20 million in year 2, 10 million years 3 through 8. So it's becoming less inflationary as time goes on. They also pay out the APR in these tokens. So let's say 316 million tokens by the end of the year. So we're just going to have that as the supply. So 400,000 accounts, 316 million tokens. That means the total VGX per funded account is only 790. Now you might be saying, well, that's great. Everyone can have that 500 number, and we can all get an extra boost, at least the 0.5% boost on crypto. But a lot of people have been holding for a lot of time, and a lot of people will want these extra bonuses. So how many people will get the 20,000 tokens? That's about $50,000 worth. If you have a couple $1,000,000 in your portfolio on Voyager, it might make sense. You get an extra 1.5% boost on interest. So for $50,000 and you get a 7% interest, that's not too bad. Let's say you have a slightly smaller account, but you still want that extra increase. You can have just 1/4 the number of tokens here, and you can have 5,000. So there's not enough for everyone to have thousands of tokens and even get to that second tier. So the total market cap based on the total supply of 316 million, it's about $790 million. Now that's not too much either. Once you start thinking, okay, what if someone wants to go buy $10 million worth or $100 million worth and kind of bottleneck it, where the price goes up because there isn't much circulating. Let's take a look at my scenario. These are my numbers on Voyager. So I do have more money on BlockFi, but let's start breaking this down. And just if you guys want to know too, there is a link to Voyager down below where you can get $25 boost or $25 worth of Bitcoin for signing up. And again, this is the best platform to hold Voyager token on. You can buy it on other platforms, but you don't get the rewards then. So if you guys want that, there is a link down below. Sign up, deposit $100, buy something $100 worth, and you will get that $25 boost or that $25 bonus. So I have 0.11 Bitcoin on Voyager. I have 5,000 Cardano, and then I have 500 VGX. Now I have a couple other things, but those don't get interest rates. So I get an extra 0.5% boost on Bitcoin and Cardano above this normal interest rate that they pay. So this brings me to my total interest rate. So 6.75%, 5.75, and then 7. So the extra interest I get because I get this extra 0.5% equates to about 0.00055 Bitcoin. So that's just from this extra boost, not the total amount that I get in interest. And I get an extra 25 Cardano throughout the year. Now, I don't get any extra boost on VGX for holding VGX. I just get the 7%. I don't get like an extra 0.5% boost. But taking a look at the extra value after 1 year, so end of year value at today's prices, if Bitcoin does not move from 37,000 and Cardano is still at $1.75 and VGX is still at $2.50, the amount of extra interest I make is about $20 on my Bitcoin, $44 on my Cardano, and about $87 worth of VGX interest. Now, what if everything increases by 10%? Well, I get 10% more. And you can go down the line. So you can go up to 100% increase. Obviously, if we double, then all my interest is going to double. So that's actually starting to add up because remember, we only put $1,250 in. So I only need to buy 500 of these tokens to start getting all these different benefits. So $1,250 will buy me an extra $152 worth of interest. The total value is $152 at today's prices because the price of VGX doesn't go up. So if everything increases 10%, I actually make $167. But don't forget, if everything goes up 10%, then VGX, which was $1,250, actually goes up $125. So you can add that to the total value. So everything goes up 10%, you get more interest, and you also get increase to your VGX. If everything goes up 50%, so Cardano, Bitcoin, VGX go up 50%, I get extra interest, and then my total VGX goes up by 50% also. And then you start looking at 100%, you start looking at some pretty good returns. So if everything stays stagnant, just based on my portfolio, because again, it's going to change depending on how much you have, and we'll look at like another scenario where you have $100,000 in your portfolio here in a second. If everything stays the same, I actually get a 12% return. If everything increases 10%, then I get a 23% return. Now this is based on these numbers here. This $1,250 gives me a 23% rate of return because of the extra interest and the VGX price appreciation. And then you can go down the line. If everything gives me a 100% increase, then I'll actually make 124% because of the extra interest. Now, what if you start looking at someone that's got more money? Because again, the more money you have in these portfolios, the more it makes sense to throw $1,250 at VGX. Because if you have one Bitcoin, then that extra interest is going to be much more important. If you have 15,000 Cardano, it's going to be more important. And you can go down the line. So we're looking at portfolio here about $37,000 worth of Bitcoin. Cardano is just under $30,000 worth. And then Ethereum just under $30,000 again, about $25,000 worth. So altogether, this portfolio is going to be around $90,000 to $100,000. So you get the normal interest rates. You also get the boost if you hold the 500 VGX. So the prices are here. The extra interest on Bitcoin is 0.005 extra Bitcoin. You make an extra 75 Cardano. You make an extra 0.05 Ethereum. At today's values, at today's prices, that starts making you some decent money. So an extra $185 worth of Bitcoin, another $131 worth of Cardano, $130 worth of Ethereum. And you can go down the line. Of course, like we said, if you have a 100% increase on all these different cryptos, then you would have an extra $370 worth of Bitcoin, 262. And this is just because of the extra VGX tokens and the extra interest. This is not the total amount of interest you make. So once you break it down, and we'll get to the risks here in a second, but the total cost is still $1,250 based on today's values. So that would give you an interest rate boost of $349. Total value is still $349 if we stay at today's prices. 10% increase to all the different cryptos gives you a $587 interest boost. $712 worth of value overall, because again, VGX is going up. Then you can go down the line. So if you have a 100% increase, that would give you $2,300 worth of value. And you only spent $1,250 for that VGX. So as your portfolio grows, it makes more and more sense to buy this. And that's where it starts to get really interesting. What if we go through more of a bull market? What if more people join the platform? In either of these situations, people will want more VGX. Let's say they double their users over the next year, which I don't think would be hard based on what they're doing now, because they had about 50% increase in new funded accounts just this last month that they announced. So they had like 130,000 new accounts that were funded after they only had 270,000 the month before. So you start thinking, okay, what if they get 800,000 accounts? Then the total amount per funded account gets cut in half. What if the total supply is only 400 per funded account, and there are accounts that are going to keep 20,000 VGX that already have it, and they're going to keep that through to the end of time because they want that extra 1.5% boost on all these different cryptos. This is only with a $100,000 portfolio. What if you have $1 million? Think about that. What if you were making 23 grand a year extra because you have extra VGX? And that's still only with the $1,250 worth of VGX. That's not with the extra, $50,000 worth if you want that top tier VGX category. But you could be making $20,000 a year just because you hold $1,200 worth of VGX if you have a $1 million portfolio. So that gets really, really, really interesting. What if, again, you hold $50,000 worth? That would bring you up to about $60,000 worth of extra value. It's insane. And that's assuming a 100% increase. But again, that isn't too crazy once you start thinking, okay, $75,000 Bitcoin in a year, that's possible. Cardano at $3.50, yeah, I think that's possible. That could be possible next month, who knows? So you start getting into some crazy numbers where the supply is getting smaller and smaller because of the fact that there are going to be more and more people that want it. Now, there are some risks. Let's not act like there aren't risks to this. This is one of the riskier investments for several different reasons. So, first of all, what if the loyalty program changes? What if they, for some reason, think that it's too expensive or it's not worth them running this anymore? Or what if you bought 500 of them and they change it in a couple months? That's something that could happen. Now, I think that they wouldn't change how much you have to hold too much more. And maybe that's their end goal. Maybe they want everyone to accumulate more and more over time. And it will just send up the price. I mean, that's possible. I'm sure they want the price to appreciate, and that's a risk. But I wouldn't think they would do it too much more, because then it would decrease your willingness to actually do it. So if they start saying, okay, now you need to have 2,000 of these VGX tokens, and they're now $3, you need 2,000 of them to get the interest. Well, who wants to go pay $6,000 worth to buy VGX? Not too many people. Especially if their accounts are $10,000 or $20,000, do they want a third of it, or even more to be in VGX? 60% of it to be in VGX? Probably not. But that is one potential risk. Another one is if we go through a crypto bear market. We've seen this already on VGX, where it fell down pretty significantly when we saw red in the market. So at the peak back in February, we were at $7 essentially for VGX. Now it's $2.40. That's a big drop. That's obviously a big drop. It's come down about 70%, 65% since that happened. If we go through a sustained bear market, it could be very bad for VGX, especially because people wouldn't have a reason to hold on to it as much. At least in some people's minds, they would think, why am I holding on to VGX when I could be buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or something else like that is just safer? Another thing that could happen is Voyager goes BK. It goes bankrupt. So this would be very bad. Probably send the price down to near nothing or to nothing. Either $0 or maybe a couple cents or something like that. I don't know if anyone would be willing to buy it or what would necessarily happen if Voyager went bankrupt. But that is something that you have to take into account. It's something that you have to think about. Now, I don't think that's very likely to happen. I hold stock that is Voyager stock, so I own part of their company. I also own assets on the platform. Their revenue increased 16x since last quarter. So they are around 60 million in revenue. Before, they were at a couple million just last quarter. They have a lot of cash on their balance sheet. They seem to be in a very good position. They're growing very quickly. They are a completely different company than they were a year ago. So at this point, I don't think that's very likely, but it's always something that could happen. Now, do I think you should go out and buy your whole portfolio worth of VGX? No. But I think if you want an interest rate on cryptocurrency, I think this is one of the better companies to work with. And they're large enough that, in my mind, they aren't as sketchy as some of these companies that want to give you crazy, insane interest rates, but they're smaller companies. They're just trying to get new customers until they have to drop interest rates. So they're willing to lose some money short term just to get you on the platform, and then they'll probably lower interest rates. That might happen a little bit with Voyager as time goes on too. But at this point, I feel like they're a happy medium where they are the right size that they can still pay good interest rates. They're still very flexible. They're very quick on their feet to actually start new cryptocurrencies on their platform, to start allowing you to trade them. I think they're good at that. Now, I still think that you should probably look at buying some if you either want extra interest or you're just looking for another crypto. If you have an account with Voyager, I think you really should consider at least 500 tokens. Again, I realize some people don't have a large portfolio, so that's where you kind of have to weigh, okay, do I really want to put maybe a fifth of my portfolio or a tenth of my portfolio or half of my portfolio in VGX? Probably not. If your account's smaller than $7,000 or $8,000, I don't think it necessarily makes sense. But I think if you have a 5-figure portfolio, it definitely makes sense to at least buy 500 Voyager tokens to get that extra bonus. If you're someone that has a $10,000 portfolio and maybe you want to start crypto investing, I think you should look at that extra 500 VGX tokens. Now, of course, like I said earlier, if you guys want, there is a link down there in the description to get Voyager and to get a bonus on Voyager. So you can get $25 worth of free Bitcoin. It does help out the channel, so check that out down below if you're interested in Voyager. But again, I think this is fascinating for several different reasons. Again, more people are joining the platform every day. As crypto goes into a bull market, more people will want an extra boost because that percentage boost will become more and more important as time goes on and as cryptos gain more in value as they become more expensive. And again, it will be harder and harder to get that as more funded accounts are coming on. So you can even look at the total tokens that are joining the platform. Like they talked about 40 million tokens. So at 280,000 tokens right now, or 250,000, that is a nice increase of about 15% or so. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. That is a large increase to the total supply of VGX. But divide that by the new funded accounts, you start thinking, okay, they're increasing funded accounts by 50% a month right now, and the total supply of VGX is going up at 15% a year. Those don't add up. There's going to be an inflection point where not everyone can even have 500, and that's not accounting for all the whales that hold it either. So it does get really interesting with under $1 billion market cap. You start looking a couple of years out, and people maybe people have a lot more money on this platform. More people want interest rates. It's going to become very valuable to hold these tokens. That's just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, but thank you guys for watching this. I appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on VGX down below and whether this is an altcoin that you were really interested in or whether it's something that you have to look more into or something that you're staying away from. Let me know. Again, you can check this out down below in the description to get those extra bonuses. If you guys want to know what I'm buying on a daily basis, you can check out Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.